Welcome to One on One. My name is Bridget Otu. Thank you very much for joining us. A couple of weeks ago, the National Democratic Congress returned to IPAC, and even the smaller parties were excited. The EC had promised to even throw them a party. That was just by the way, but there were serious issues that the NDC was contending. Has those issues been resolved? The National Communications Officer of the NDC is lawyer SAMMY GYAMFI, and he joins us to tell us the decisions the Electoral Commission has taken in reversing the decision to not use indelible ink in the 2024 general election, to stay the elections on December 7, which was the original date, instead of the proposed November. Does that mean the NDC is happy with the current EC and its decision? When we come back, lawyer SAMMY GYAMFI would respond to that. Right, so welcome back to One on One. Lawyer SAMMY GYAMFI, welcome to One on One.
Thank you.
I think the most obvious question is, does the NDC trust the Electoral Commission based on the decisions they have taken to say, okay, we're no longer going to go with not using the indelible ink in the 2024 elections. We're also going to stick to the December 7, even though the reasons assigned were, okay, we wanted enough time if there were disputes, enough time to transition. And so, yes, we're throwing all this away and sticking to the December 7 elections.
Well, I think that it is fair to say that the NDC as a party has had several serious issues bordering on the integrity of our electoral process.
Right.
Which we have raised in the past. In the 2020 elections, we raised a number of issues.
Right.
In the 2020 elections, we raised a number of issues which were not addressed. And so going into the 2024 elections, we've decided, like Azuma Nelson, to go into the election with our own referee and to stay vigilant from the beginning to the end till every ballot is cast, counted, and declared to reflect the will of the people. So the issues you refer to are some of the concerns that we have recently raised with the Electoral Commission. The fact that it is too late in the day for the EC to consider significant changes and reforms, particularly with regards to the voting day. Again, the decision by the Electoral Commission to eliminate the use of the indelible ink for us was a very bad, decision. We don't think it should have come up at all, because the indelible ink has been a constant feature of our electoral process since 1992 and has helped to check multiple voting. Even though we now have biometric verification devices for voting, we know that these are machines which can fail. And in times past, we've recorded a lot of such failures relative to BVDs for elections. And therefore, it makes sense for the indelible ink feature to be maintained going into the 2024 elections to check the incidence of multiple voting, impersonation, and so on. And so it is in this spirit and against this backdrop that we raise these pertinent issues. Many other stakeholders in the electoral process agreed with us. And it's refreshing to know that the Electoral Commission, for the first time in a long time, has decided to listen and to do the right thing. So we're happy about the fact that they've indicated that they will be maintaining the indelible ink arrangement and that they will...
So is it pressure, or is it that it's just common sense that's taking place? What do you think has happened in the mind of the EC to arrive at this?
I think that the cogent arguments we made, which was widely supported by other political parties and other stakeholders in our electoral process, might have compelled the Electoral Commission to do the right thing. Maybe sober reflection, I don't know. But the most important thing for us is that we are going into the 2024 election knowing clearly that voting day is 7 December, it's not changing, and knowing very clearly that the indelible ink feature, that is a very important feature in our electoral process to check multiple voting, will be maintained. We are very happy about this development.
Okay, so we're voting on the December 7. Earlier, I think Director of Elections for the New Patriotic Party, Mr. Evans Nimako, said, well, if the NDC is so confident about winning an election, because he bragged about the fact that you claim that if elections were held today, the NDC would win. Why then did you struggle? Why then did you argue that, look, it should be held in December and not November?
Well, we were the ones who championed the review of the commission that led to the recommendation for the Constitution to be amended for us to have the general elections on the 7th of November to afford us ample time for the transition process. It was the NPP who kicked against that in 2016 because they said there was no time. So when they kicked against that, was it to say that they were afraid of losing the election? In fact, in that election, they won. We are saying it is too late in the day for you to be proposing reforms that requires constitutional amendments that requires a great deal of time. We don't have that time. We are barely 9-10 months to the elections. We still don't even have the calendar of the Electoral Commission. So for us, those are the most important issues to focus on, and not reforms that will lead to constitutional amendments that they don't even have the numbers for, and we are not going to support. So why waste our time on back and forth on constitutional amendments that we don't have consensus on when we have barely 9 months to a major election? So it is in that light, like President Mahama and the leadership of our party have said, that we kicked against the proposal to change the election dates and to, more importantly, do away with the indelible ink feature of our electoral process. And hey, we thank God that
we lost 8 people in the last.
Has listened to good reason.
We lost about 8 people in the last elections, and security obviously will be important in this coming elections. And then you hear a major key personality in the police administration, DCOP Wabu, speak on what had happened, the actions of the military, and then the police comes out, issues a statement. I mean, literally like to throw him under the bus and say, oh, okay, we are disassociating ourselves with your comment that fingered the military as being maybe active participants in the violence or mishaps that happened during the elections. What does that say to you when you're seeing that happening with the security agencies, and especially as a key stakeholder going into an election that you want as violence-free?
Well, what that says to me is that we may be dealing with a police service that is willing to lend itself, as a pliant tool for the executive, to repeat some of the unfortunate happenings we recorded in the 2020 elections. Because I don't see anything wrong with what DCOP Wabu spoke about. He says that election security is a matter of the maintenance of law and order. The responsibility for maintaining law and order is primarily that of the Ghana Police Service.
Yes.
Simplicity. Everybody knows this. This is a no-brainer.
Right.
This should not require a statement from the Ghana Police Service because the man said the right thing. Neither should DCOP Wabu be subjected to disciplinary proceedings for saying the right thing. Election security is primarily the responsibility of the police who are responsible for maintaining law and order. Now we know that in every election there is a security coordinating committee or council. In our time, the IGP was the chair. Okay, now this security coordinating council that is responsible for overall security for the elections includes the other security agencies like fire service, like immigration service, and the military, and so on. But whereas the police and members of the fire service or immigration are deployed for normal election day security, patrols at polling stations, the military is not deployed for the purposes of security at polling stations. We didn't do that in 1992. We didn't do that in 1996. We didn't do that in 2000. And for all the years that we have voted in this country, we've not done that except the year 2020. Even under this current IGP, and that is what makes me surprised. When we went for that saying not by election, I was in the thick of affairs. I happened to be the manager of the NDC's campaign. Sure. And the IGP told us that he was going to ensure that the police took charge of security for the by-elections. The military in all elections are put on standby and only called in, invited in, to assist the police if they encounter a situation beyond them. Right. So where law and order has broken down, the military can be called upon by the police to come and restore law and order. So they are a standby force called in as a buffer to support the police. They are not the first point of call. The first point of call is the police. And it is within this context that DCOP Gabriel Wabu spoke.
Sure.
He was not saying that at all costs the military cannot be involved in election 2024. If it becomes necessary because security has degenerated in a particular area, the police will do the needful by calling on the military to come in and help restore law and order in that particular area. We all know that. But when it comes to the election day normal security arrangements at polling stations and all that, it's the duty primarily of the police. And sometimes, due to inadequate numbers, they fall on fire service, immigration to assist them. You don't use military people for polling station election monitoring. We don't do that. In a sense of the IGP insisted that the police would take full charge, like I said earlier. And they did exactly that. We didn't see military men at polling stations. We didn't see military men at collation centers. You understand? We all applauded the IGP for that. I don't know whether the pressure from the MPP and their surrogates in the police service is getting to the IGP, for which reason he would want to bend the rules now and could talk to the whims and caprices of the government. That would be dangerous. That would be a dent on his reputation as IGP and the Ghana Police Service. And I sincerely hope that he will not fall for it. Is the NDC worried? As an opposition, I would say we are worried. But my point is, we will insist for the right thing to be done. We are not going to accept that military men be deployed to observe elections at polling stations and collation centers. Yes, they have a role to play, but that role is a secondary role, is a standby role, where they will be called upon by the police to come in and help to restore law and order in areas where the police is overwhelmed and the assistance is needed. If there are special areas of heightened insecurity where on a case-by-case basis the military will have to work hand-in-hand with the police, everybody can understand that. But DCOP Wabu spoke about the general rule, which general rule is that the police must lead and must take charge of the normal security arrangements for December 7th, 2024. He has said no wrong thing, and we are totally appalled and disgusted that the hierarchy of the Ghana Police Service will refer him to face disciplinary proceedings. Completely needless, completely unwarranted, completely unacceptable. Assuming without admitting that the DCOP even misspoke. The point is, that statement is an innocuous statement which has occasioned no damage, no harm whatsoever. It doesn't require disciplinary action. Assuming without admitting that he was even wrong.
But I had to watch the video a number of times to try and find exactly what he said wrong. And it was so difficult to point
so you can
what
see,
was wrong.
That is why we are getting suspicious that this IGP, who started well, so far has excelled relative to election security, particularly the case of the ascent of by-election. And I give him credit for that because I saw the good work the police did. There were security challenges, but you could see a police service that was genuinely interested in the maintenance of law and order and did their job fairly without any fear or favor. And we all commended him for that. But there's attempts to cower people, you know, to speak in a particular way when what they are saying clearly is what is wrong, and what this DCAP Wabu man is saying is what is correct, leaves much to be desired and gives us legitimate cause to be worried and suspicious that maybe, who knows, the pressure being mounted on the IGP both in the Ghana Police Service and also by MPP apparatchiks and officials may be working, and maybe the IGP is contemplating giving the MPP the leeway to do some of the unfortunate things they did in the 2020 elections, which led to the painful murder of 8 innocent Ghanaians. That should not happen. Elections are about counting heads and not cutting heads. No Ghanaian should lose his or her life because of elections. And nobody should act in any way that can jeopardize the peace and stability of this country, because Ghana is all we have.
Okay, so two questions on that. One is a moment of truth when you talk about prosecution. Is one thing that anytime, when you listen to pedestrian comments, NDC and people, they are the same, they can't prosecute. So when you mention the issue of we will prosecute persons involved in certain scandals, whether it's a Japa deal, Japa royalties, or PDS scandal, people raise eyebrows. Okay, how are you going to do that? What evidence, what experience, because you've been in government before, what can you point to that speaks to the fact that NDC can and would prosecute persons who are mentioned as embezzled state funds?
Well, it was under the NDC government that a former chief of staff, Kojo Pienim, and others were prosecuted. So this will not be the first time that an NDC government will be prosecuting officials of a previous regime. But I don't think the important thing is even about prosecuting officials of the previous regime alone. President Mahama has said that corruption is the sword, against the fight. The sword for the fight against corruption will cut both ways. The law would work and have its free course against anybody found culpable, irrespective of their political affiliation. So whether you belong to the government of the day or the ruling party of the day or the opposition, if you have misappropriated public funds, if you have violated the laws of this country, under President Mahama, there will be no hiding place for you. Probity, accountability, and the protection of the public purse will be our topmost priority. And so let's not just discuss this looking at previous, officials alone. But I'm sure you're talking about our press conference on this.
Yes, on the Moment of Truth series.
Japa deal.
Yes.
It is absolutely important that the future government ensures that this matter is investigated in a spirit of transparency, and the perpetrators of that loot, of that scam, are brought to book. But more importantly, it is important that a future NDC government ensures that these huge monies, 153 million Ghana cedis, equivalent to $12 million, which is equivalent to 1.5 trillion old Ghana cedis, paid to so-called consultants and transaction advisors who had no lawful or legal contracts, and who provided no value or benefit to this country, are retrieved. That for me is the most important, and we need to get the money back. And President Mahama has said that this is going to be one of his topmost priorities. And you can put your bet on that the perpetrators will not go scot-free, because there is absolutely no justification for Ghana to spend 153 million Ghana cedis on a deal that never went through, a deal that never saw the light of day, a deal that was aborted owing to the vigilance of the NDC opposition, civil society, the Office of Special Prosecutor, and the good people of Ghana, who were able to abort that scam called Japa, which was basically a ruse by some elements in the Kufuor-Bawumia NPP government to appropriate the mineral royalties or mineral revenue of this country in perpetuity. The whole transaction didn't make sense. It was opaque. And under the opaque arrangements, our mineral revenues had been undervalued. Okay? So the deal was going to shortchange Ghana in a very significant way. And apart from that, very important laws of this country were violated. The Public Procurement Act, the Public Financial Management Act, not according to me, but according to the Office of Special Prosecutor. So the whole deal was void and null effect on grounds of illegality, according to the Special Prosecutor. The procurement rigging in it, the potential money laundering, and so on, are serious issues that came up by virtue of the corruption risk assessment, which was conducted by the Special Prosecutor at the time, which confirmed the position of the NDC then, and civil society, and so on and so forth. So at the end of the day, we were all happy that through sustained pressure from the opposition and the good people of this country, were able to compel President Akufo-Addo to suspend the deal, to abort the deal. Little did we know that they had spent a colossal 153 million cedis on this deal. My sister, the question is, what benefit have we gotten from this deal? What benefit have we gotten from it as a nation? None. The deal was not even implemented because it was a scam. People just set out to defraud the country, and we caught them pants down, and we stopped them in their tracks. And like I can say, so why do we spend 153 million cedis? Look, we are a country currently faced with bankruptcy. Our economy is in tatters. We can't even service our debts. Today, our economy is rated junk. Nobody wants to lend to us. We've gone to the IMF for a bailout. We are praying and hoping of even getting the second tranche of the IMF facility of $600 million and so on. As I speak to you, national service personnel have not been paid for 4 months. Teacher trainee, nursing trainee allowances who were promised restoration of the allowances, they are owed huge arrears as we speak today. Yes. Unemployment is on the rise. According to the Ghana Statistical Service, it's at least 14.7%, almost 15%. Go to our hospitals. Even beds for sick people is a big issue. People are sleeping on bare floors. Not too long ago, the renal unit of the biggest teaching hospital in Ghana, Kolebu, had to be shut down because the government of Akufo-Addo and Bawumia owed a paltry 4 million cedis that they said they didn't have money to pay. So you don't have 4 million cedis to clear your debts at Kolebu so that kidney patients can have access to dialysis. Okay? And that led to the avoidable death, the painful death of 19 innocent Ghanaians. And you tell us that you spent 153 million cedis on a useless, needless, fraudulent deal, which was never implemented, and which the state and the people of this country derived no benefit whatsoever from. Come on. Come on. What is wrong with us? What is wrong with this government? And what wrong have we done to them to deserve this kind of treatment, to deserve this kind of naked rape of the public purse? What wrong have we done? Now today, children are still sitting under trees schooling. Today, people wake up not knowing where the next meal will come from. No jobs, no opportunities. People today in Ghana, in some deprived communities, are drinking from water bodies, streams that animals drink from. Streams that look as brown like hot chocolate because they don't even have a borehole to drink from. Do you know the number of boreholes that 153 million cedis can dig? You know the number of schools that 153 million cedis can build? The number of chip compounds, the number of employment opportunities it can create if invested in skill development, like we are talking about the National Apprenticeship Program and so on and so forth. And you just distribute the money among yourself. You just chop the money for nothing. What have they used the money for? They claim they use the money for rental of office space. Office space for what? A Japa which never materialized. So who sat in that office? And where is that office? Cock and bull stories to justify their thievery. What did you use the money for? They say we use the money to pay consultants. What consultants? Akufo-Addo's cousin who owns Data Bank, Ken Ofori-Atta, former finance minister. Akufo-Addo's cousin who owns African Legal Associates, Gabi Ocherdakon, and his partners, White and Case, and another a law firm, Benziential, run by Ace and Koma, these people. But the point is there a valid, lawful agreement engaging these so-called transaction advisors on the basis of which the state could have lawfully made payments to them? The special prosecutor says no. All the agreements are void on grounds of illegality because of the procurement rigging and the statutory breaches that agreement is fraught with. So you don't have any legal basis to pay them. You can't put something on nothing and expect it to stand, like the lawyers say. Then again, the question is, have these companies rendered any service of benefit to the Ghanaian people for which reason they must be paid? No. So if you gave them any money at all, why won't you retrieve the monies for us? These were the people who composed songs on the Woyome matter.
Consultancy is like feasibility, you know, at the beginning of every product. You have to do some.
Not every consultancy is for feasibility. And they can't tell us that they spent $12 million on consultancy for feasibility for what? So what did they do? Feasibility on what? On setting up that whole scam in a tax haven so that we can't even track the business of that entity. What work did they do? They should tell us. For which reason we have spent a staggering, a humongous 1.5 trillion old Ghana cedis. Okay. My heart bleeds for this country. You know, when I hear things like that. And President Mahama is very concerned about issues like this because now we are in a mess. Right. And the meager resources of state must be put to judicious use. When you are in crisis as an individual, that is the time for austerity. That is the time for frugality. That is the time for prudence. That is not the time for waste and stealing. And these people must understand that. And so they can walk free today, but I'm telling them that the day of reckoning, the day of accountability is fast approaching. And none of them, read my lips, none of them will go scot-free. Okay. Because President Mahama is determined, no matter whose ox is God, to ensure that transparent, credible investigations are conducted into this matter. The monies unlawfully paid retrieved for the state to be invested in productive and useful ventures for the benefit of the people, and prosecutions take place. Prosecutions of those found culpable is actually done. All right. That is what His Excellency John Dramani Mahama thinks about this whole
So we'll have to take a break. When we come back from the break, Sammy, I would want you to tell us how you intend to turn things around because we're broke, especially with the introduction of the 24-hour economy proposal that GIA, Global Info Analytics, did a poll, and it's topping. People are interested in it more than the digitalization being promoted by Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And also there's a crisis in the cocoa sector. I just did not know how bad it is until a company that I was supplying cement to laid off its staff because they just couldn't get the cocoa to buy. We'll be right back. Welcome back to One on One. My guest is the National Communications Officer of the National Democratic Congress, lawyer SAMMY GYAMFI. And Sammy, I want us to talk about the 24-hour economy because I realize the NDC has put out a lot of information on it. The last one I read was the frequently asked questions about it, which I thought was brilliant. Makes it easy for everyone to. And also the polls seem to favor the 24-hour economy because Global Info Analytics did a poll and 24-hour economy was top one. I'm sure you're not surprised. Since you're not surprised, why is it important to put out these information every single day? Are you getting questions from the public? What's influencing that?
Well, it all stems from the passion and vision of the nation builder, our flag bearer and leader, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, to sustainably address the problem of unemployment. I mean, when you talk to him today, nothing, worries him than the issue of high unemployment that we are currently faced with. I wouldn't say that unemployment is a new phenomenon. It's been with us since the days of Adam. However, in recent time, we have seen an alarming rise in the rate of unemployment. According to the Ghana Statistical Service, the rate of unemployment for 2016, at the time we were leaving office, was about 8.4%. That is from the Ghana Living Standards Survey 7. But as we speak today as we speak, the Ghana Statistical Service has released unemployment figures for the last quarter of last year. And it will interest you to know that that rate of unemployment, which was 8.4%, that our friends in the NPP said was too much as of 2016. Today is 14.7%, almost 15%. You understand? So it has almost doubled. Yeah. So the problem now is a much more serious problem than we were even confronted with when we were in office. Something has to be done. You read all the reports, even the national security reports, and you are told that this problem is a bomb waiting to explode. Is a threat to our national security. You can't have such a youthful population with many idle hands, you know, in the country such as ours. And so the main objective, the main vision of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and the NDC for the people of Ghana for 2024 and beyond is job creation. Hence the 24-hour economy strategy. The 24-hour economy strategy is the solution of John Mahama and the NDC to the problem of high unemployment. He's so passionate about it, and that is why those of us in communication have invested a great deal of time and effort to simplify the policy for people to understand. Not everybody can even read the FAQs.
Okay. Yes.
Hence the need for us to have engagements like this and further engagements that we will be having in the coming weeks and months, including
like town
hall
halls,
meetings, community engagements, outreaches, you know, to simplify the policy for people to understand. Because this is not just a vote-seeking gimmick or message. This is a well-thought-through strategy which was first incorporated in the 40-year development plan, which was produced under the NDC Mills government, which this government has abandoned. They abandoned it for a so-called Ghana Beyond Aid agenda, which today has become a pipe dream, you know. So we thought through it properly. Experts have gone through the modalities and everything, and that is why it was captured in the 40-year development plan. It was even captured in our 2020 manifesto.
Yes. Yeah.
But I guess it didn't gain traction as, you know, it has gained today. A wise man said that nothing can stop an idea whose time has come.
Right.
This is the time for the 24-hour economy. And that is why I've said that for those proponents of fake news,
yes, I
who
was
think that they can discredit this policy with flyers, you know, attributing fake quotes to NDC leaders, they are wasting their time.
How do you fight it?
Because kicking against the 24-hour economy is like kicking your bare feet against the concrete wall. You only hurt yourself. You don't hurt the policy. You don't hurt John Mahama. You don't hurt the NDC. You hurt yourself. Because once the policy is explained, any objective mind, any discerning mind will know that it makes sense, it is well thought through, and it will help the nation if implemented. So the entire policy is about creating an enabling environment, a deliberate government strategy to create an enabling environment for private companies and businesses, as well as critical public institutions, to operate 24/7, round the clock, in 3 shifts. They will not just be operating 24/7, but they will be running 3 shifts of 8 hours each. So you cannot employ one person for multiple shifts. If you do so, you will have to pay overtime, which makes their pay more expensive than the regular pay. So this multiple shift arrangement, 24/7 shift arrangement, that we want certain critical private companies and businesses and state institutions to run on, will ensure that we are able not only to transform Ghana into a production-led import substitution exports economy, it will help us not only to enhance public services for the people of this country, but more importantly, it will help us to create many decent, sustainable, well-paying jobs for the teeming unemployed youth of this country. Because if you don't get a job during the day, chances are that you can get a job in the night. It's as simple as that. This is what pertains in all the advanced countries. When you go to UK today, they have a 24-hour economy strategy. It is by virtue of that strategy that London today have a 9-tube, which provides transportation for London's night economy. Sydney has a 24-hour economy strategy. New York has the same thing. It is not to say that in those countries, before the introduction of these strategies, certain companies were not on their own operating 24/7. There were companies in London which were operating 24/7 before they adopted, you know, or developed and started implementing a 24-hour economy strategy. They saw the need to have that deliberate intervention because you need more entities, you need more businesses. Not to do it as a chance event, but to do it with deliberate interventions from the government supporting them.
Right.
As we speak today, Ghana doesn't have any such strategy. There is no support for businesses operating 24/7 on their own. And there are many more businesses with that potential to operate 24/7 who are unable to do so because the enabling environment, the support systems, the incentives are not there. Yeah. So John Mahama says this is the vision. Let's have businesses, companies, key state institutions running 24/7 in 3 shifts. It will create more jobs. What will we do to make that feasible, that practicable? Number one, we are going to reduce the tax burden on these businesses by giving them tax incentives that will reduce their costs. Some say that when you do that, you will lose revenue. That is true. In the immediate term, you will lose revenue. But in the medium to long term, you will get more revenue as these companies begin to produce, begin to make profit, begin to employ people and all that. You get a revenue in other form of taxes. But the excessive taxes that are being heaped on businesses by the insensitive Akufo-Addo Bawumia government, which has flattered to deceive on their promise to move us from taxation to production, will be looked at and reviewed downwards significantly so that our businesses can be competitive. And they can only be competitive if the cost of production, which includes taxation, is reduced. Power is a key overhead cost for all businesses in this country. The cost of power in Ghana is very high. There is little that can be done about it in terms of the regular power supply we consume during the day. But something can be done about it during off-peak hours. That is during the night time. Because during night time, the power producers are producing the power, but consumers of power in the night are few. Entities consuming the power are few. So there is a certain redundancy and inefficiency in the system. You have to still pay for the power produced in the night, yet only few entities are consuming it. So John Mahama says, encourage a 24-hour economy with a booming night economy, with many factories, many industries, many businesses, grocery shops, restaurants, hospitality industries, agro-processing companies, the mining and quarry industry, manufacturing industries, and so on, operating 24/7 to consume that power. And because they are running in the night, give them a rebate through what is called time of use tariff. So you'll install at the premises of these businesses who will sign up to the 24-hour economy special meters, not the regular meters, special meters, calibrated to charge cheaper rates during off-peak hours. In other words, during the nights. Yeah. So during the night when we are all sleeping, if businesses are working, why should they pay 1 CD per kilowatt of hour if that is what we pay during the day? Okay. Yeah. If we pay 1 CD per kilowatt of hour consumed during the day, in the night you get to pay 50 pesos. So
once you're
there is an
within
incentive
the
for you to work in the night. And if you are operating in the night because power is cheaper and you are getting tax incentives, you will employ more people because you want to produce more. You understand? We've also spoken about strategic financing for certain key manufacturers and produce. And here, our main focus is on agri-businesses and agro-processing. Okay. Because we need to grow what we eat. And we need to eat what we grow. And we need to add value to what we produce. That is the only way we can transform the structure of this economy. We've been paying lip service to this as a country, but President Mahama says the next NDC government will prioritize this. And so in prioritizing this, there are some of these entities who require capital injection. That is why President Mahama set up the Ghana Export and Import Bank to support such businesses who produce not only to meet domestic demand, but for exports to be supported with financing. Today, that SM Bank is being abused. They've taken $10 million of that money and given it to Chama Wuntubi, according to Kennedy Japan, who has just misused the money. They take the money, they give it to musicians that I don't want to mention their names because they were giving these monies by no fault of theirs, okay? But you know those musicians. We will ensure that we rechannel these resources, not into the cosmetic 1D, 1F and all that, but into proper, well-established factories, producers for exports, and so on. That is what is going to be the focus. And aside that, we have said that security will be our top priority because you can't have a functioning 24-hour economy if there is insecurity. And so through a hybrid security architecture system made up of state security agencies and private security agencies, we will ensure that we have a secured atmosphere for people to go about their activities, even in the night, not fearing what criminals may do to them. And so we have thought through these things well, and we have outlined, we have told you the sectors that will benefit. Not exhaustive, because there is no limits to the sectors that will benefit from the policy. And we've told you the incentive that we will give them. Then somebody says that, but businesses will run 24/7 when there is demand. Right? I'm an economic policy analyst. I have an understanding of demand and supply and so on. Demand can be stimulated. And President Mahama has spoken about that relative to this 24-hour economy. That the biggest spender in the Ghanaian economy is the government. The government has the biggest procurement power. The government procures more from rice to sugar to water for the government agencies, the military people, what they eat, what they wear, what they use for running their services. Everything is procured by the government. The schools, government institutions, government agencies. So look at the kind of things government procures. So if we say a local tile manufacturing company should run 24/7, we are going to stimulate demand for that because government is going to prioritize the purchase of local manufactured tiles over foreign. And therefore, there will be a market for those local manufacturers of ceramic tiles. There will be that constant market for them. So they will want to run 24/7 in order to produce more. It's as simple as that. The rice we import in the billions, we have the capacity to close that gap, if not to eliminate the importation of rice totally, like Nigeria is on course to achieve.
Yes.
To a deliberate government policy.
Yes. Even when they complain about the local rice, they still say, no, this is how we're
government is in charge of procuring rice to feed school feeding people. The students, both at the basic level and even at SHS level. The government says that I'm only going to procure local rice. That is demand, high demand for local rice. And therefore, people will go into that sector to produce more. And when they go, because they want to ramp up production, scale up production, it will make sense for them to operate 24/7. And as they operate 24/7, they create more jobs. Look at the state agencies like Passport Service. Yesterday, thanks to John Mahama, under whose tenure the online passport application system was introduced under the leadership of then Foreign Minister Honorable Hannah Tete, contrary to what that dishonest vice president claims. You see, so you can apply for a passport online. But when you apply, you still have to wait for months before you get an appointment to go to the office to take a common picture. Why?
And you still have to print out a PDF version of the online form.
And when you go, you have to join long queues. And sometimes when you do the online application, you are given a date to come to the office 4 months after, 5 months after. Why? Why can't the passport office run 24/7? Why? The passport office can run 24/7. So that not only will you be able to apply for a passport online on your phone, but the processing of the application, will be sped up for us to have efficiency, for citizens to have better services. At the end of the day, people pay for those services. So
in
you
other
can't
words,
say that government will be employing more people.
They could have ×3 at the passport office.
So you can have ×3. But somebody will say if you have ×3, then the wage bill is going up. Yes, the wage bill is going up, but revenue is also going up because the more they process, the more they get revenue. It's as simple as that. And we must have efficient public services for the benefit of the people. If the passport service is running 24/7, that woman who cooks kenke and fish and sells it at the precincts of that office every morning, in the evening may contemplate doing kelewele. Another person may come and sell indomie because people are coming there to process their passport applications. So the 24-hour economy is not just for factories and industries. It has a cascading effect on small and medium-scale enterprises. That woman who is selling rice, who is selling kenke will also benefit. The markets will all benefit. You see, so this is a visionary strategy, a visionary policy that every discerning mind must embrace. The MPP are against this because they did not originate the idea. They are pained about it. You ask them today, your flag bearer read to us a 73-page speech at that comical event they held a few weeks ago at UPSA. Tell us one thing in there that addresses the problem of high unemployment. And they will be stammering, struggling to give you one.
But he talked about the 24-hour economy, saying that it's in existence. I mean, he said it. I mean, in fact, he even made popular the 24-hour economy.
Let's interrogate it. Does Ghana today have a 24-hour economy strategy? No. So when you say the 24-hour economy is in existence already, you are saying that certain entities on their own operate 24/7. But that is not what we are talking about. We are not saying that when we come, businesses will operate 24/7 on their own. Ours is not a chance event. We are not saying if you think you can operate 24/7 as a job, do it. No. We are saying this is a strategy which will involve deliberate government policy intervention to make sure that even if you're already operating 24/7, you get a support. Look, Coca-Cola operates 24/7. But Coca-Cola will tell you that they are struggling to compete with cheaper imported Coca-Cola products because their cost of production is so high.
Yeah.
So, under the 24-hour economy strategy, Coca-Cola gets tax incentives. Coca-Cola will tell you that one of their high overhead costs is the cost of electricity. So now they get time of use tariff. So cost of electricity comes down. Tax burden comes down.
Might do more around that
their
time.
Their cost production comes down. Don't you think they will be producing more?
Absolutely.
Don't you think because of that they will be employing more?
Yes.
This is common sense. You understand? So if you say that some people are already operating 24/7, so you don't need a strategy, then no country needed a 24-hour economy strategy. Because in Sydney, before they adopted the 24-hour economy strategy, there were businesses already doing their own thing 24/7. Same as London. Why have they now decided to have a 24-hour economy strategy with even 24-hour economy mayors, 24-hour economy offices? Why are these advanced jurisdictions doing that? So these are short-sighted, or if you like, myopic leaders who are only interested in the vote buying 419 deceptive promises. You know, one district, one factory, one village, things like that. All are scams. You know, but they are unable to appreciate the importance of far-reaching, you know, policies like the 24-hour economy. And that is why they keep on making a mockery of themselves. So look, this policy has come to stay. And President Mahama can be trusted to deliver. Because President Mahama is not a person who lies. There's a man you can go to the bank with his word. What he is not sure of, he will not say. If he promises, he will deliver because he would have thought through it. That is the man we are talking about here. His track record is there for all to see. Even under his first term, you saw the transformational developmental projects he engaged in. Today, most of those projects are running 24/7. Go to Kotoka, Terminal 3, 24/7. Yes, the what today is Terminal 2, the old one, used to be 24/7. But did you see, if you went there then, and you compare that to what you see when you go to Terminal 3 today, don't you see a big difference? Sure. Look at the number of people who have been employed by the various airlines working there because of that facility. That's Terminal 3 alone. Sure. You go to the Tema Port, the same thing. Before President Mahama, our ports were closing at 5. Now we have the MPS terminal at Tema, which runs 24/7. Even that, there are challenges. Okay, because customs doesn't run 24/7. Okay. The banks don't run 24/7. So they need all that. So President Mahama is saying customs should run 24/7. So that if you want to clear your goods, customs are there. You will get financial institutions at the port. Why must we all wait till morning before we go and clear our goods? And that creates a lot of traffic on the Tema Motorway. Same for Takrade. Why can't we be doing that in the night? And fuels
corruption. Yes, you have to pay bribes in the morning.
Which then leads to breeds corruption and all that. Why can't people do that seamlessly during the night when we are sleeping, less traffic, clear their cargoes and transport them? You understand? That is what we are talking about here. And this is why the TUC says this policy is a game changer. These are not politicians. That is the General Secretary of the TUC. You understand? So forget about what Bawumia will tell you. As for him, his objective is to run down anything good Mahama and the NDC says. So they will not say anything positive. Unlike us, who are objective enough to concede, like I just conceded to you that the Electoral Commission has done something good. They see no good in the NDC and anything we have to offer. But the point is, objective Ghanaians who have traveled to, advanced jurisdictions, live there, work there. People like Bawumia, who schooled abroad, and whilst they were schooling, they were still working in the nights, because in those jurisdictions, those jurisdictions had 24-hour economic strategies. today are telling us that we don't need a 24-hour economic strategy. How opportunistic can they be? How deceptive can they be? So people who are discerning, people who know how this system works in advanced jurisdictions, understand this. And they cannot be fooled by the fake news, the propaganda, and the deliberate disinformation campaign being waged by the MPP. But even for those who don't understand, we are telling them not to worry. We still have 9 to 10 months to the election. We are going to run an issue-based campaign. And so we will be coming to them in their communities, in every nook and cranny, in a language they understand. And we will be answering their questions. We'll be simplifying this policy for them to understand across all 275 constituencies. And I am very optimistic, as the polls are beginning to show, that Ghanaians are buying into this, and I know a lot more Ghanaians. I'm optimistic that a lot more Ghanaians will buy into this policy and give the trustworthy, experienced nation builder, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the opportunity to come and implement this policy, in addition to the many other policies he has announced and those that will be outlining in our manifesto in the coming months.
Okay, but the issue about, fake news, misinformation and disinformation, I can't believe you said 1 minute. It's really, okay. So the issue about the fake news, disinformation, it's big. You're dealing with a group of people who don't admit to faking it, even when they are caught. And an example is a pro-NPP group posted something attributed to Fact Check Ghana. They use their logo, everything, a source to them. And Fact Check Ghana comes out and says, look, we didn't do this.
Oh,
you
really?
are lying. Yes. It was something against MP for North Tongue constituency, Samuel Okujeto Black. And they said, we're not. The sister station comes and said, we're not. And they are insisting that it is factual because we have put it. Okay, if you want to promote your fake, you can do that, but just don't attribute it to us. Don't attribute it by using our logo and things. So how do you go about it? This is shameless.
Yeah, it is something that we'll be dealing
really
with because in times past we have reported these matters to the police and they've not acted, even though they constitute cyber crimes. Publication of false information is a crime in Ghana. But it's very easy to know where it is coming from because you know where it is coming from based on those who share those fake materials. And you realize that once they do the flyers with General Mosquito's picture or Joyce Muktari Bauer's picture, my poor sister, or with Beatrice Annan Fio's picture, or with my good brother Felix Ofosu-Kwakye's picture, or Joseph Yamin, Kwekubwa and all that, and they attribute codes to them, they know that they are gullible people who may believe. But it's not easy, it's not difficult to know that they are the ones behind it because you see all their communicators on social media posted. They are not that smart, So you are able to see through, the shenanigans. But the point is this: we are focused. We will continue to issue these disclaimers. We want the public to be on the alert. They are going to do more because they have become very desperate, and they are going to be even more desperate because they see that they are sinking. Campaign Atonsium. Bawumia is a product you can sell. Bawumia is a product that is so discredited. You can't sell him. People just don't believe him. People have lost confidence in him. He raised the expectations of Ghanaians so high relative to the economy. And he have dashed the hopes of Ghanaians. And people know that he's empty. People know that he is very bankrupt in ideas, but very rich in lies. Bankrupt in vision, policies, but very rich in platitudes. Okay? People have seen him for who he is. They have seen through that artifacts of economic messiah, which was erected by the MPP and their hypocritical media surrogates in 2016. The Ghanaian people have seen through that. And so the MPP people are very worried about that. And they are getting increasingly desperate, and that is why they continue to churn out these fake news. We will continue to set the record straight. We will continue to issue the disclaimers so that the unsuspecting public are not hoodwinked. But more importantly, we will continue to stay focused on our message. Because in a race between lies and truth, the lies may take an early lead, but the truth will surely win.
On that score, I want to say a big thank you to
Thanks for having
National
me.
Communications Officer of the NDC's.
I didn't realize that our time was
Sammy,
even
I
up.
know, Samuel Gyamfi, for coming to the studio to talk to us. I think you have explained well, you know, the 24-hour economy. And if you're watching us, you can go on the website. Have you launched your website?
You can check
yet?
the NDC Communications
Bureau
pages
page,
on
okay.
Facebook, on Twitter,
Okay.
and you will see answers to frequently asked
I
questions
think we need
on
a
the
website.
policy.
We
The party has a website, but
Okay.
it hasn't been uploaded yet.
Okay.
But if you check all our official handles on Twitter, Facebook, you will see
there,
it
all right.
there. You
Okay.
can check mine too.
Page, yes.
on
So all the
Instagram, you see that.
questions that you need, you have about 24-hour economy. Also, Global Info Analytics, like I mentioned, conducted a poll and people are excited. They don't care about digitalization. They are not interested. They did not feature in the top 3, I believe. And so it is 24-hour economy. So if you have questions about it, you can always post to them. My name is Prosecution. Thank you again for watching.